This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas.
Magazine publisher and entrepreneur Judith Mancini is sharing captivating conversations with experts in their field about the latest trends in our ever-changing world to help you become healthy, wealthy, and wise. Judith Mancini today will spark your interest and inspire you to lead your best life ever. And now, here's Judith.
Hey everybody, how are you today? Thank you for joining me at Judith Mancini today. Today, I can't stop crying. And you know that your body and your well-being is being terribly affected by this when you're constantly in a state of sadness, fright, disbelief, and helplessness to take control of your life and the lives of those you love. Are the headlines in the ever-present news world taking control of your feelings, thoughts, and life? I want to talk about this a little more, but remember, there are two kinds of tears. Tears of sadness and disbelief and feelings that you can't take care of the world and your friends and your family. Then there are tears of joy, like the people who were applauding our wonderful hockey teams in the Olympics and the other people who have participated in the Olympics to represent our country. I cried over Lindsey Vonn. I followed her since she was so young as a skier, and she was so wonderful. And when I heard what happened to her in her accident, it brought tears to my eyes. But then the hockey teams, the men and the women, both got gold medals for our country. Do you know what that means? Some people think, okay, so they got gold medals. So what? It's a big deal, let me tell you. And the other thing that's a big deal is it also makes our country look so good that people are so well behaved and happy. And the men's team, I shed a lot of happy tears over the men's team. They are something else. And they played on and they won in overtime by 1 point. And they've come back and they've been so gracious to everyone, talking to them and showing up, and the press showing up and all of that. And last night at the State of the Union address, they were invited to the State of the Union address to see President Trump deliver part of that and congratulate them in front of everybody, the politicians, the people who represent you in Congress and all. I found it a little sad that the Democrats wouldn't stand up and cheer for our team of gold. But then again, they didn't stand up and think that the United States is great at all. So I just wanted to tell you that don't forget you can cry tears of happiness too. Like when your daughter or your son is having a baby and you have your first grandchild and you cry tears of joy. Okay, well, I want to talk a little bit about what is going on in Mexico. You know, I mentioned Mexico quite a bit in my podcast, and that's because I love Mexico and I love her people. Of course, I don't love the cartels, okay? And the cartels have taken over Mexico for years now, and I can talk about that for a long time too. But it's time that we try to stop them, and the president of Mexico tried to stop them. And I was looking a lot at social media and some news reports for Puerto Vallarta. I want to tell you the first time I went to Mexico was when I was about 5 years old with my mother and father. And I still have a picture of me sitting on a pretend donkey, painted, striped like a zebra. Yeah, that's not too cool now. We wouldn't do something like that. But I was sitting on it with a sombrero, and they were sitting in the cart. And I remember that trip so well. My little brother, Craig, had to stay at home. He wasn't invited to go to Mexico with us. That was in Tijuana. Aunt Jane, Tijuana. Tijuana is on the border just outside of, or adjacent to, San Diego. So I've been going there since I was 5 years old. It has changed dramatically through the years. What was once a tiny, sleepy, old town has grown into sort of a metropolis. I remember going to the restaurants that first had Caesar salad, where that was developed. It's a fascinating story if you get into it. And then, of course, when I was a little older, we would go down to Ensenada. And friends of ours just sold their house there. They had for 70 years, practically, 60 years, something like that, on the beach in Ensenada. People love Mexico. And do you think it's just because it has beautiful beaches? No, it's the people. The people of Mexico are wonderful, kind, caring people. They will do anything for you. And remember that what has happened in Mexico may be hurting the tourists. They may be frightened, but they're not going to have anything happen to them. It's the cars of the kind people of Mexico that were set on fire. It's the kind people in Mexico who serve you your margaritas and your enchiladas and your ceviches. It is one of the most wonderful places on earth. You know, yes, I've traveled in Europe and China and all different kinds of places, but for years I have spent time in Mexico. I raised my children to love Mexican people. I had a Mexican housekeeper for many years, and I helped her get her citizenship, Olivia. When I went and took over running the publishing company that I owned with my ex-husband, I had Olivia come in the mornings and fix my kids' breakfast and me breakfast so that I could sit with my kids after I've gotten dressed for work, and then I could run out of the house and get down to the office. She would leave her children. Fortunately, her husband was at home at this hour. She would leave her children to come take care of mine. Mine were babies then. They were in school. So their carpools would come pick them up and all. But she would come and she would fix us breakfast. And then she would do whatever she had to do to take care of my home. I loved Olivia. And that's why I helped her get her citizenship. And she was very happy. We went over, it was over by the Los Angeles fairgrounds. And there were many, many people, most of them from Mexico and South America, all of them getting their citizenship that day. And those people brought happy tears to my eyes once more. So when I started having kids that were in junior high and high school, I wanted them to meet more of the people of Mexico and learn the history, the ancient history of Mexico. And we took them on a beautiful trip flew all the way to Cancun, which is one of the newer resorts. It's not so new now. It was 30 years ago, 50 years ago. And we did some touring and all, and the hotel we stayed in actually had some old ruins in it. And all that time, I've gone to Cancun many times, and Cozumel and Tulum. And these are all cities that are over on the eastern part of the country. And then with my children, as I took them from Cancun, then we flew to Mexico City, and we went touring there. I wanted them to see the cathedrals and the murals of some of the most famous artists in the world. I wanted them to see all of that. We were thrilled to be there. We spent a week at each place so that we could see everything in these, if you want to call them tourist places, that's fine, but going back and forth between them. So then when we went back, we went to another beach town. That's when I took them to Puerto Vallarta. But my first engagement with Puerto Vallarta was before I even had children. And when I went down there with my new husband many years ago, the father of my children, there was really only one hotel down there, and it was on the harbor. And when we checked into it, we were on the second floor, but the whole entire resort was not built. And I kind of giggle because we had iguanas coming into our bedroom, into our room at the hotel. And some iguanas are tiny, as you've seen from the cold streak here. Some iguanas are really big. So that was an experience. And that was really a wonderful, fun time because I got to go into the kitchen and learn how to make some Mexican dishes that I'm so enthralled with and love to eat. One being flan. If you have never had flan, you better have it. It's a custard that they make that is absolutely fabulous. So that was a very early on time when I could introduce my children and my ex-husband to Mexico. And from that time on, we have gone many, many, many times to stop at places you've never heard of. One place I haven't been is Merida, and I would like to go there. I think that's not what I mean. I can't think of it. It's up in the hills. It's an artist place. My mind is skipping all over today. Anyway, so that's why I had tears in my eyes, and I want you to think about, and I actually did post some social media on Judith Mancini today of people who live and work, raise their children, and are Mexican citizens, and how this terrible cartel problem has affected them. Well, we did get rid of the leader of the cartel, but that's why all of this war time has popped up in these places in Mexico. That's because somebody wants to take over the cartel. The cartels are not nice people. They are the biggest traffickers. This particular leader of this cartel was the biggest trafficker of drugs anywhere in the world. And that's saying a lot. Heroin, fentanyl, cocaine, you name it, they have it. So there is a big, probably gathering to see who is going to take over the cartels if they don't end up shooting each other. They burned cars, they burned buses, they burned some office buildings and all. Now I want you to think about this. This brought tears to my eyes because not only do the cartels hurt other people with their drugs, but they were hurting the citizens of Mexico because these people worked in those buildings everywhere from executives down to your housekeepers and all, the cleaning people, the people driving the buses, the people driving the cars to get the different people together. Now they have no jobs. What are they going to do? Some of the stores are reopened. My heart breaks for them. Will I go to Mexico again? Of course I will. After the cartels settle down and after everything is back in order, it will be one of the first places I go to. I'm not afraid to be in Mexico. The people of Mexico themselves are very kind and wonderful and welcoming people. So that's my thought on Puerto Vallarta. And I think my engineer gave me a great idea when I told him what I was talking about today, that I might do a couple shows on each of the different places I've been in Mexico. All right, I want to move on now to the world altogether. It's not just Mexico that's having problems. There are all sorts of horrible things happening in the world, and maybe that's what's stressing you out. You know, stress doesn't just affect your head or your nervous system, it affects your body, it affects everything. Let me just tell you a couple of the things that are happening right now in the world, because you may or may not listen to the news, but this will really kind of wake you up. There's just disasters and conflicts all over the world in 2026, and we're only into the month of March. Almost every generation has undergone things, the wars and the conflicts and the ones ongoing now, even though President Trump has ended 8 wars, he's working on a couple more that he just can't seem to get going correctly in the right direction, like Iran, where they are negotiating today. Iran cannot be allowed to keep nuclear weapons. They can't be building sites where they do the nuclear weapons. They can't have any. They'll kill us. It's as easy and simple as that. That's what will happen. But there's still, in the Middle East, this great strip of land by the ocean that has been in conflict for many, many years, ever since the Israelis went over there, because they claim the land, as do the Palestinians. So they're still working on that. And one of the good things that President Trump did is he formed that coalition of people that are donating money to rebuild the Gaza Strip after all of these wars that has finally been ended. That took years and years. Nobody else was able to do it except President Trump. This war in Ukraine could be settled, but people don't understand that Ukraine was part of the great USSR, Russia, in the old days when they had czars and all. Ukraine was part of Russia. Kiev, many of you probably eat chicken Kiev, became famous when people started talking about it. Maybe you watched movies like Dr. Zhivago and all when these things were going on. Well, Ukraine, after all of that and the czars, they decided they wanted to be independent again. So that's what they did. And here is this war between Russia invading, trying to get back the land of Ukraine into the Russian countries, if you will. So that is a horrible thing. 1,000 or more people are killed every day in the Ukraine with the Russian bombs, or the bombs going into Russia from Ukraine, missiles, things like that. Between the two of them, it's about 1,000 people a day still being killed. So we need to have something to do about that. In the Sudan, you have to remember they are having a civil war, or soon to break out civil war. I think it's already happened. Myanmar, Yemen, and parts of Africa still remain unstable. They have been going at this forever and ever. That's after they suffered apartheid from the English. The English, remember, ruled the world at one time. They ruled the seas. They were everywhere, and they took over some of these places. And a lot of places are not treated very kindly when they're taken over by other countries. And some of the history of the countries go back thousands of years. But then we also had horrible natural disasters in this country and other places, major earthquakes in Asia and floods and storms. And so many people were misplaced. We've seen terrible storms and things that have happened. An interesting thing happened at the State of the Union address last night when I was watching. I cried so many tears over these little girls that were in the Texas flood that was such a flash flood they couldn't get out of their camp where they were all camping and having a good time. And apparently it was a religious camp and they all had these wonderful hymns they were singing, and the flood started rising and they couldn't get out, and they sang and they sang and they tried to get out and they couldn't, and many of them perished. And then there was this little 11-year-old girl who was stranded, and in comes the helicopter, and this young person in the, I don't know if it was the National Guard or what it was in, I can't remember. He went down and he picked up this 11-year-old girl and saved her at the last minute from the floods. Not only did he do that, he had never done this before in the helicopter. He had just trained for it and went into it and strapped himself in and went down and scooped her up. But he also scooped up 164 other people to save them from those same floods. What a hero. What a man who put others ahead of himself to save these people. So we have sadness and horrible things happening, natural disaster-wise, war-wise, makes us cry all the time. What about economics? Some of these countries don't have any money, don't have any food. We need to help them. It takes big budgets. And we can cry all we want, but we need to help them. So this is where the news comes in. The news comes in to tell you these things, not to scare you, but to inform you of what's going on. And perhaps you can help. Perhaps that will ease some of your stress on your body and your mind. Some good comes out of things. You can think about 9/11, which we were not in the country for 9/11. We were in Prague, Czechoslovakia. And we were just getting ready for bed when the news came on about this horrible, horrible event. 9/11, with the planes crashing into the buildings and nearly 3,000 people lost. I cried many tears then too. And I just wanted to get home. There were so many kind people in Prague that wanted to take us in and help us. We were staying in a hotel and it stayed open, so they took care of us. And the chef would come out couple nights, 3 nights that we were still there till we could get a flight out, because everything was grounded. We couldn't get a flight out. So he would fix our dinner and then he would come and have dinner with us. And he was marvelous, marvelous. They were so kind. Another thing that was kindness during that time when you wouldn't expect it was, this was before cell phones and other kinds of communication systems that you think of having around you all the time. There was no internet. There wasn't any of that going on. So I wanted to get a hold of my children. They always tell you to have somebody on your emergency list that doesn't live close to you, but is a very good, kind friend. And I have always chosen Dale Jewell. I know even a lot of my friends don't know Dale, but she was one of the first people I met in Pittsburgh when I was working there, and when I started meeting people and the women's organizations and things like that, because I sold my company. And once I moved there and married my husband, I had more time for charity and all. So Dale has been just, she lives in my heart. And she's one of the kindest people I have ever met in my life. And so she had our phone number, and I had her phone number and all. And I called her and I said, listen, these are my kids' phone numbers. I think you have them, but they're okay. You don't need to call them now. They are huddled down together. She was so kind. But the other people who were kind was the telephone company. They never charged anybody for long distance calls from places like Prague and Czechoslovakia and calling all the way to the United States, and maybe 3 or 4 or 5 calls, because we all have families. It was amazing to me. And then the people, when we were walking down the streets to go get lunch or breakfast or whatever we wanted, they were remarkable. Kindness goes a long way, and it brings tears of happiness and joy. So now we have all sorts of disasters going on in the world, but we're also getting some straightened out, and that is a wonderful thing. But you do know that it affects everything in your body and your mind, as well as not getting any sleep. I made some notes here. So I want to talk about it. When you're in that fright or flight or fight mode, your mind can be just going over and over and over everything that has happened and how you're going to straighten it out and who you can help and who you can't help and what you should do. And you end up having horrible times of sadness and helplessness, and you lose sleep and you become fatigued, and then you don't eat properly and you don't know what you're going to do. But I'll tell you the 30 things that I think do not help you at all are cigarettes, alcohol, and smoking weed. It's not going to help you get through these horrible, terrible disasters. So put them away, try to stop them, because you know what? These things are what gets everybody hooked. When you start it to help yourself get through a sad time, you become addicted easier than at normal times. Shouldn't be addicted at all, okay? Think about that. So when you're also going through this horrible stress, you're going to have high blood pressure, your heart rate's going to go up, you're not going to be exercising, you're not going to be moving your body, you're not going to be eating right. You need to get out in the sun, you need to walk, you need to move your body, because if you're not doing anything, you can't help other people, let alone yourself. So you need to do these things even more so than when you're happy and you're not shedding tears of desperation. So if you're not exercising at all, I want you to get up in the morning and thank God you're still there and capable of helping others. And then I want you to move after you've been in the sunshine a little bit and just take a little walk. It doesn't have to be long. Just get your blood flowing in your lymph system, taking the toxins out of your body. And try to move on. I want to tell you about something that will help you in a few minutes. But if you are so depressed over all of this, or you know a friend who is so depressed and they don't know what to do, I don't want the same thing to happen to them that happened to my son. So if you feel like you can't face life anymore and you have decided it would be better to leave this beautiful world, please call the National Suicide Line. The national number is 988. That's all you need, 988. Call them and someone will help you. And for all of you listening, tell that to everybody. Post it on your social media and other things. It is not the answer, and it hurts everyone. All right, there is something that I want to get to before I tell you how to calm down and improve your life, your well-being. There are some scams going on. I've been hit by 2 of them recently, and what they are, it's my husband squeaking, the door is going out into the sun. Okay. What they are, the scams. Excuse me, Squeaky. Sometimes when we do things remotely, we have other challenges. Mine is my husband's squeakiness in the mornings. But he likes to listen to the show. He just doesn't like to plug in. So he sits here and listens to me. All right. So there are scams going on all over. And what I want to tell you about are the most popular scams. And unfortunately, they like to hit up older people, not so much the teenagers and the 20-year-olds, although they do that. But they like to hit up Miss Lonely Heart. Yep, they get on there. Some guy gets on there and he's seen her picture on the internet, on social media, maybe a dating site, something like that. And he goes on and on. Oh, you're so beautiful. You're just my type. He might even show you a picture of himself that has nothing to do with him. It's some movie star from some other country or something. Women can do the same thing, but it's normally the men who do that. So they start building this connection to you, and you may feel like this is going someplace. Oh, finally, I found the one on the dating site. I've been waiting so long to find somebody. But suddenly, this picture-perfect person has an emergency, and he can't make it to the date that he wanted to take you on. Could you loan him some money so he can't get the transportation? Don't do it. Anytime somebody you've just met on the internet, or maybe haven't even met, and they're just trying to scope you out, it is a no, no, no. Get rid of it. Put it in the trash, unsubscribe, just get rid of it. And you might want to report it. I know the police take these reports, but can you imagine how many people complain to the police for internet scams? Then, of course, there's the ones that prey on the little old grandmas and grandpas, or aunts and uncles, or aunts and uncles. Oh, Grandma, I am traveling in Europe now. Or maybe they're traveling in Mexico and they've run into these cartels that are burning things down, and they're scared and they don't know what to do. But maybe they're not. They're just telling you that. And they're asking you for airplane fare to go home. Well, these people probably have never set foot south of the border. They're scammers. And I've had 2 girlfriends that are my age, in their 70s, and about 5 years ago, 2 of them on 2 separate occasions got scammed by somebody telling them that, Grandma, I had a terrible car accident. I need money. Mom and Dad won't give me any. They're so mad at me. Please send the money. Send it here. Send it here. And both of these women sent in excess of $5,000 to each of the separate scammers, and they didn't even know. The women had no idea the other woman had been scammed, and I don't think they were the same. They weren't tied together. But they each lost $5,000 by sending it off to a scammer. All right? They're just trying to get you to give them the money. Okay, now this is one that I was just hit with by Amazon of all places, and I have to report it today. I just deleted it. I'm assuming it's a scam. That's why I'm going to call somebody at Amazon. However the heck you can do that, I'm not sure, but I will try or write to them or something. This email to me said, we want your one-time code for Amazon. One of your orders isn't coming through correctly. Well, I've never had a code for Amazon. I don't know anybody who has. Maybe if you're an influencer or somebody that reviews products or something, I don't. Might be a good idea to do it, but no, I don't do it. And I have no code for Amazon, so I just deleted it and I will report it. The other one was very similar, and it was from supposedly my bank. It didn't say it was from the bank I use. It just simply said it was from my bank, and they couldn't read the code, and so they need the last four numbers of my accounts in the bank so that they can get to them and figure out who might be trying to steal my money. Well, okay, I'm not giving you the number because you're not going to keep my money safe. You're going to take my money. And I didn't give you the code, and neither did the bank. So report it. Your bank will never call you unexpectedly to ask for your one-time code or tell you to move your money to stop fraud. Never, never, never. Don't do that. So that is my warning about scams today. Now, the one thing I want to tell you before I leave you is we're talking about all the things that can happen to your body when you're watching the news too much. First of all, maybe you should turn off the news for a little while. And in our house, because I do podcasts and I do post things politically and worldwide stuff and all, we tend to watch the news a lot during the day, but you don't need to do that unless you're involved in something like that. So turn it off. Maybe watch it once or twice. Maybe you want to do the evening news. Maybe you want to do the morning news. Everybody was hanging on the internet when poor Nancy Guthrie, Savannah's mother, was kidnapped. This is just the most horrible incidents of horrible things happening to somebody, and all the different people talking about it on the news and all. It's tragic. It's tragic. I sure hope they get to the bottom of this. It's not right. I could give you my opinion on that, but I'm not going to. So, all right. So now you've been watching the news. You've been listening to the news. You've been hearing your girlfriends and your guy friends, even they play golf, or your girlfriends if you're going to a ladies' lunch or something, and you're talking about all these horrible things that are going on. Not just Nancy Guthrie, but the little children that were killed by the people who are illegally driving big rigs. They don't speak English. They don't read English. They don't know what the laws are. And they're killing little kids because they're running into the backs of their parents' cars. It's just horrible, horrible things happening. So then you start getting stressed and your body starts thinking, oh, I'm so exhausted. Maybe I'll lie down. But you really just fatigued thinking about all these things. So you want to calm down because the thoughts are racing through your head and all. Well, I have a solution for you. You know I am involved with LifeWave, which this is the most amazing company ever. It's these small little patches. See that? It's the size of a quarter. Maybe you can see it better like this. On my arm is where I put this. It's called Aeon, Aeon. Okay, this is one of their patches, and this one, all of them are phototherapy, where they bring the light in from the outside world here and into your body, and your light in your body, because we're all filled with light, and it will stimulate the stem cells, which will in turn go to the places that you need to calm down. Now, they have all sorts of different kinds of patches. The X39 is the one that everybody uses, which is the most important one to me. I've put it in a place where I don't want to show you on the podcast, but you can put it in different places. And the Eon you can put in different places too. The company will tell you where it goes. The X39 is for overall well-being, and I am so sold on this. It's unbelievable. Now, the Eon I have on calms your racing thoughts. But if I really have a night where I can't go to sleep and I don't want to get a sleeping problem and having a doctor tell you to take pills, I didn't know about Aeon 5 years ago when my son committed suicide. And so a doctor gave me Lexapro. And I took 1 month and I was hooked. I mean, I was hooked, and it helped me sleep. I would never want to do that again in my life. I'm just not that kind of person. I don't want to be into drugs. Forget it. And then last year, somebody introduced me to LifeWave. I want you to know that LifeWave today was just awarded another award for their scientific things they're doing. I haven't read the whole article, but it's for developing these patches again. And I don't know how to tell you, they have over 200 patents on each one of these little, I'm beating myself up. These little patches, look at this. You see how big it is? It's not even as big as a corner. The actual part of it here is where it brings in the light. This around here is adhesive, and the light comes in, and you can put it anywhere, and it will come through your clothing if you want. They're remarkable. That's all I can tell you. They're remarkable. So if you want to get more information, look at that address going on the crayon at the bottom, okay? And you can ask me questions there. You can sign into it, and you can find more information on it. You can become a member or not become a member. You can be a customer, a priority customer, or you can be somebody who's joining this remarkable business opportunity, or just go buy one package and test it. It's remarkable, okay? So I had a good night's sleep last night because of it, and I want you to also. So thank you for tuning in with me today. Go check out the LifeWave things, at least read about them, okay? Because it will change your life. I'm not kidding you. One other thing, my husband, I've patched him up with X39, the wellness, good feeling X39 that just helps everything. I've told many of you how he hurt his shoulder years ago, his right shoulder up high, and nothing, chiropractors, pills, nothing helped him. So I patched him with an X39. The pain went away, and I patch him whenever he would like me to, if he has anything wrong with him. If he wore it all the time, he probably Wouldn't have to bug me to get him another one. Okay, thank you for tuning in today. I appreciate it. Don't cry anymore tears of sorrow. Cry tears of joy and make yourself feel better and make the world feel better. Thank you, and remember, cherish yesterday, dream tomorrow, and live today.